Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys, brought to you by the National Hockey Now Network. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by National Hockey Now, Thursday, February the 9th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith will be joining me momentarily as well, and we are getting set for a 7-game slate here on this Thursday night. We've got some intriguing matchups tonight, highlighted by Colorado, Tampa Bay, Stanley Cup final rematch, and the first meeting between the Avalanche and the Lightning since last year's Stanley Cup final. So looking forward to breaking down this card. If you're wondering where Alex is, he's just running a few minutes late. I think he needed a few extra minutes, actually, after the night he had last night. And I'll let him explain that when he joins us on the show. And to say he had an interesting Wednesday night would be an understatement. It was almost like it was a dream, what happened with Alex B. Smith, our guy, last night. It almost like, did that really happen? You know, did that actually take place in real life? What Alex was involved with last night, it actually did. So looking forward to hearing about that from Alex when he joins us on the show tonight, or on the show this afternoon here in just a few minutes. Let's look back quickly on the two games last night. I mean, it was the Vancouver Canucks and the New York Rangers. The Vancouver Canucks, again, valiant effort. I thought, you know, certainly you can't fault work ethic. You can't fault the try, the level of try, the compete level of the Vancouver Canucks. But at the end of the day, you know, they're just not good enough defensively, unfortunately. They get back in the game. They give up a critical goal at a bad time, and they end up falling short, losing, of course, to the New York Rangers last night, 4-3. The game did go over the total, which was good to see. And in a two-game slate last night where I didn't like the side or the total a whole lot from either game, we ended up going with a goal scorer prop best bet, a rare one for yours truly on the Ice Guys show yesterday, and it came through for us. Filip Chytil of the New York Rangers, once again, doing what he's been doing lately, finding the back of the net and scoring goals in bunches for this Rangers team at plus 200 last night. He ends up cashing for us with that best bet. Filip Chytil of the Rangers continues to light it up for them. The other game last night, Dallas and Minnesota, very, very strong effort from the Stars last night, 4-1. Pretty disappointing for Minnesota because you expect a little bit better than that from them after a very disheartening first game back after the break. You lose to the lowly Arizona Coyotes, but Minnesota was clearly the inferior team last night, and the Dallas Stars get the 4-1 victory over the Minnesota Wild. And if you jumped in on that plus 750 goal scorer prop parlay last night that I mentioned on yesterday's show with Filip Chytil of the Rangers and Roope Hintz of the Dallas Stars, it looked like we cashed that one in the second period when Dallas made it 3-0. It ended up being a deflection goal, though, clearly, and it was the right decision to change the goal to Jani Hakanpää, who ended up getting that goal instead of Hintz. And we were left wondering, hey, are we going to have that parlay win taken away from us? But sure enough, Roope Hintz into the empty net in the final couple minutes of the game to put it away and give Dallas or cement the win for the Dallas Stars, 4-1 last night. So the parlay ends up cashing after all. Hintz and Chytil last night at plus 750. So that was fantastic to see. Before we get into today's card, we do need to bring up there's a couple of things that have happened, and namely Vladimir Tarasenko has been dealt to the New York Rangers from the St. Louis Blues. We're just awaiting the official trade call to go through and to be processed. And we're also waiting on who's going the other way to the St. Louis Blues in this deal that will send Vladimir Tarasenko to the New York Rangers. So the Rangers active, as we kind of expected they would be going into the trade deadline, but certainly making moves ahead of time. Here, we're still a good several weeks away, a good few weeks away from the trade deadline. It's looking like a first round pick, a fourth round pick, and a group of prospects are going to the St. Louis Blues in return for Vladimir Tarasenko to the Rangers. So looks like, again, for the Blues, it's a sure sign from Doug Armstrong, the general manager of the St. Louis Blues, that, hey, we're waving the white flag on this season, I think, in terms of, whether we're going to be, maybe we still make the playoffs and we play well in the second half of the season, but we're still looking at long-term goals here with this franchise. And we kind of know this is an aging roster. And if you look at the St. Louis Blues, that's indeed the case. They've got a lot of good players, but Brandon Saad's in his 30s. Braden Schen's now in his 30s. And you look at that blue line. Torrey Krug has been around the block a long time. Justin Falk. Colton Parayko's a good defenseman, but he's been at it a long time. Nick Leddy. I mean, this is one of the older teams in terms of average age in the National Hockey League. And you see the season not going as well as the Blues wanted. And I think it's a pretty clear decision. And this is the first symbol of it, sign of it, if you will, from Doug Armstrong, that it's time to look toward the long term. It's time to look toward the future, maybe break this thing up a little bit and look long term. So definitely there's no doubt St. Louis, I think, is going to be looking long term at, rebuilding, retinkering, not blowing it up, maybe extreme, but maybe a little bit of a softer, lighter version of blowing it up. And I think this trade here, Vladimir Tarasenko to the New York Rangers, is certainly the first sign of more moves being made before the deadline by the St. Louis Blues, selling a lot of key players. I think you'll see more moves. Barbashev's going to get moved. It wouldn't even totally shock me if Braden Schenn, I'm not so sure because he's got great ties to that team, but Barbashev could be moved. Definitely Saad could be moved. Don't be shocked if Leddy ends up getting moved before the deadline as well on the blue line. Falk is in play. I think Parayko and Krug may not go, but I'm sure if the right deal is in place, they'd certainly entertain the idea. So, but the bottom line is there'll be more moves and more players, I think, jettisoned out of St. Louis between now and the trade deadline. Well, look who we have here. It's our guy, Alex B. Smith. Alex, welcome to the show. And before we even get to the Thursday night card, you have some explaining to do. I can't even believe the night that you had last night happened, that it was real, that this was real life that transpired in the history book for Alex B. Smith on a Wednesday night, February the 8th, 2023. You're going to look back on this and say what kind of night this was, but tell our viewers and our listeners all about it.
All right, so I got to tell the whole story. It starts, ironically enough, it involves both of the games last night. So I'm watching Vancouver and the Rangers, and I mentioned on the show how I wanted the live over at 5.5, trying to get plus money. I'm watching the scoreless as the clock's dwindling down. I'm looking at my app, and all of a sudden, for the first time in a long time, they started moving the number on a half, like they do with BetMGM and FanDuel and all these other books. So Bet Online, I'm waiting for this 5.5 to go plus money. It goes from 110 to 5 even minus 180. What do you think happens about a minute later? Rangers score, make it 1-0, can't even get the bet. So I'm pissed off. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go head out to the bar. So my friend works at the lobby bar inside the St. Paul Hotel, which of course Vegas Golden Knights, they're in town getting ready to play for tonight's game. And what I didn't know was that it was the dad's trip. So as I get to the bar and I'm sitting there, I'm seeing players walk in, which is no big deal. They're walking to their, elevators, their curfews. But all these dads just come stumbling in and they come straight to the bar. They had all gone out to dinner at a place that's not too far, like basically between the hotel and my apartment. And so they were hanging out and drinking and watching Stars and Wild game. I'm in there with my Stars jersey. And basically get to meet most of like Aiden Hill. Got to meet Jack. I actually got to meet Jack Eichel. I turn around when Dallas scores a goal, and I'm hearing guys go, "Who scored that?" And I turn around, and it's literally Jack Eichel asking me, "Who scored the second goal of the game?" I'm like, "It's Rupert Hintz." His dad was there. I mean, most of the dads, like I said, they came and stuck around, but at least Aiden Hill's dad was the dad that kind of sat right next to me. We drank, a couple beers and talked about, he talked about how, him living in Canada and growing up in Calgary and different stuff. It was just a ton of just fun, just random shit. Like I ended up getting home at midnight. Most of these guys end up going to bed around like 10:30 or 11 once the game ended. I got home at about midnight. And just a weird, like I said, it felt like a fever dream. Like, am I really like actually like hanging out and like, listening to hockey stories from some of these professionals' dads? It was a pretty cool night. So yeah, apologies for being a little late, a little hungover. But like I said, it was one of those once in a lifetime kind of moments, and it was a cool thing to be part of.
So Alex and the hockey dads of the Vegas Golden Knights. That's essentially what it was last night, with a little cameo from Jack Eichel, and you said Aiden Hill as well. Yeah.
Aiden Hill. He stopped in for like a brief second, and then he went up. But like I said, his dad was there for most of that time, and Like I said, met a couple other players' dads too. So it was just a really just fun, chill night watching the game.
That's the way, and and it's not surprising. And I'm sure when it comes to a hockey dad, they all want to see their kids do well. But you got different personalities. I'm sure there's some quiet ones, there's some louder ones, there's rambunctious ones, there's kind of surly ones, and then there's some nice ones. And you had nothing but good things to say about Aiden's father, saying he was really just a really nice guy when you were talking to him last night.
Yeah, he was just super chill and relaxing. Like I say, a lot of the dads, obviously, they know each other because of their, kids basically played together when they were juniors or with another team or whatever. So it was cool seeing that interaction as well, like seeing which dads were already kind of really close and which dads were still kind of maybe getting to know each other for maybe the first or second time. So it was just a really cool, like different kind of experience. Most people, get to meet players or different things, or whatever. But you don't really get to meet like any athletes, family members too often. So it was just a kind of a twist on a different experience.
I don't know. I probably wouldn't do it. I wouldn't have the balls to do it, but I'd be tempted at least if I saw Jack. I'd go say, "When are you going to get a point, you stupid fuck? Come on. When are you going to get back on the score sheet, man? I mean, what have you gone 6 games without a point now? Come on. They need you. They need you. They won. He had a bunch of chances the other night against Nashville, actually. I thought he's getting close to breaking through. He is. And you're seeing progress. You're seeing him. Before you weren't seeing him get as many chances. He wasn't, as noticeable, I think, in some of the earlier games during this little point drought that he's on right now. But I thought against Nashville, he had a bunch of chances. And hopefully the goals and the points are going to come back again sooner rather than later for Jack Eichel. So there you go, a wild night there for an unexpected one. And it only happened because you got pissed off about the start of that Canucks-Rangers game. And you said, I just got to clear my head, need some air. I just got to, stomp the ground a little bit, vent my frustrations, and then you just ended up going to downtown, and then you see the cavalry of Vegas hockey dads rambling into the hotel, and next thing you know, the night is spent with the dads of the Golden Knights players. Pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's never a dull moment here in downtown St. Paul, and like I said, because of the players and teams always usually stay in the area, and the arena is right down the street, so you never know what kind of interactions like that you can have.
Yeah, no doubt. So crazy night for Alex B. Smith. And, it was a good night to just get the hell out. There's only 2 hockey games on anyway. And the best thing, too, is you had your Stars jersey on, and Dallas ends up getting the job done, of course, against the Minnesota Wild last night. And, of course, Minnesota right back in action. And that's another thing, too. I think you said Phil Kessel's dad, right? Phil Kessel's dad was
Phil Kessel's dad.
And didn't they talk about this situation for the game tonight, Vegas, Minnesota, where it's a back-to-back, and they were talking about how there's a tricky spot, and they got a chance maybe to jump on this Minnesota team tonight?
Yeah, so Phil Kessel's dad was one of the first to come down, and we're watching the game, and he kind of leaned over in the chat, and he says, he's like, hopefully, Dallas can soften them up for us, tomorrow. And he said it's always a terrible spot for teams to be having to come back home for the second leg of a back-to-back against a road team that's already been in town, already settled in. I think they got into town like 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Like I said, they go out and go eat. They all, had a great meal. All were rested in bed. Like I said, all the players were certainly in bed before the end of the second period with that Stars game. So, you could tell, and like I said, it was just kind of just checking around, seeing how guys were. Just, nobody was limping around. There was, nobody seemingly, kind of injured or under the weather or anything like that. Everybody was in good spirits. So, it was, like I said, just one of those kind of just rare, interesting things.
Yeah, no doubt. It was just a Wednesday night that definitely wasn't planned that way for Alex last night with the Wednesday night, how he spent his Wednesday night last night in downtown St. Paul. All right, Thursday night NHL card. We've got 7 games, should be entertaining, and it just happened. We didn't start with this game because it's the big game of the night, the marquee game. It just happens to be the first game on the betting rotation order, but it is the game of the night on paper. Colorado Avalanche, Tampa Bay Lightning, Stanley Cup Final rematch, ESPN with Sean McDonough and Ray Ferraro tonight, so obviously they're going all out. It's a big game. We've got Tampa Bay minus 140, home favorites, 6 the total in this one. So we got to set the table here. We've got Tampa Bay not playing well, you can say, since the All-Star break. They got blown out by the Florida Panthers. They just didn't play well at all in that game. I thought their 5-on-5 game against San Jose was fine, and John Cooper said it after the game against the Sharks. There was nothing wrong with that, but they just lost the special teams battle. San Jose's power play was good. Tampa Bay, it was a night where they only went 1 for 6 with the man advantage. They had opportunities. They could not capitalize. And what's also very rare is that against a San Jose team that we know is languishing near the bottom of the NHL standings, and you have a 3-1 lead against that team at home, where Tampa Bay was 20-5 going into that game against San Jose on their home ice, and they can't hold the lead. They end up letting San Jose get 2 goals in the third, and they end up coming all the way back and winning in overtime, 4-3. The Sharks coming back to beat the Lightning in that game. So that's 2 losses in a row for this Tampa Bay team. But if there's one game that certainly will evoke, an incredible, strong performance on, you would think, theoretically, it's tonight. You're facing the team that beat you in the Stanley Cup final last year, the team that kept you from winning your 3rd consecutive Stanley Cup. So there's no doubt Tampa Bay probably had this game circled already on their schedule, going back to when the schedule came out. But certainly you would expect them to bring a terrific effort tonight. But is it going to be enough? And do you want to lay minus 140 with this team? I personally don't. I don't have a strong side take on this game because I would have liked it a lot more if Tampa Bay had just steamrolled San Jose the other night. They didn't. And now you've got to look at Tampa Bay here as a team that's definitely, I think, going to bring somewhat close to their A game against a team that will certainly inspire them to be good tonight, to play well here in this game. But it's not like Colorado's coming in here to lay an egg. They're coming off a game where they deserved 2 points against Pittsburgh in their last game. Outplayed, outshot, outchanced, had the puck all night against the Penguins, but could not get that second goal, that 2-0 goal, that cushion that they needed. And sure enough, Pittsburgh hanging around, kind of playing rope-a-dope. They didn't have the puck much of the night, but all it took was one chance, and boom, they ended up tying the game late in the third. And then after a power play for Colorado where they hit a couple of posts, they had a bunch of great chances. Casey DeSmith rose up and played extremely well on that penalty kill, and the whole game he was very good. Next thing you know, back down the ice, Pittsburgh scores in overtime, Chris Letang to win it. And a tough loss for Colorado because they were for sure the better team for well over 40 minutes on a Tuesday night. So we'll see if Colorado can bounce back. From an injury standpoint, the big news, of course, is the status of Cale Makar. He's going to miss at least the next 2 games. And the Avs and Jared Bednar and a lot of the players weren't happy that the collision and the blindside hit from Jeff Carter of the Pittsburgh Penguins the other night was not called. There was no penalty on the play. And now all of a sudden they lose, obviously, their best defenseman for at least the next 2 games. So that is an impact loss. We know Cale Makar is right there, the best, if one of the best, and certainly could be the best defenseman in the NHL right now. Another great season with 13 goals and 32 assists. And we know he's got the skating stride to be very good in his own end as well. So you miss that for sure going into this game. But if I had to pick a side, and it is a big game, so I'm going to put a few bucks down on it from a side perspective. It's certainly not one of my stronger opinions on the card tonight, but I have to take the price with Colorado, even without Cale Makar, and even with Tampa Bay, with that revenge motive. This is about a Colorado team that's certainly played well enough to beat Pittsburgh, that's matched up quite well with Tampa. There's no question about that. That still, if you look at their record with Val Nichushkin in the lineup, and of course he just recently came back, I believe they're 15-6, 16-6 or something with him in the lineup tonight. It's just a price that to me is a little bit out of whack here. And I know they've bet the Tampa Bay. There's been money coming in on Tampa Bay after the Makar news came out this morning that he wouldn't play. But I just don't feel comfortable with Tampa Bay's overall game right now in a minus 140 type of price range against the defending Stanley Cup champions. And people will use the revenge narrative to the tits here to talk about why they like Tampa Bay tonight. Colorado's not coming in here to lose a hockey game. Sorry to break the news to you, but I think Colorado wants this one too after a frustrating loss the other night against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So, like I say, Tampa Bay could very clearly and easily win this game. It would not shock me one bit, but this is a price play for me. And to me, this price at plus 120, I'm interested in Colorado because for all the chatter, Tampa Bay's bringing it tonight. I think Colorado's bringing it too. So I like the Avs a little bit at plus 120. Alex, what do you think here? The game of the night on ESPN, Avs Lightning Stanley Cup final rematch.
Yeah, like I said, this is going to be a fun one to watch. And even though this is the middle of the year, Colorado, Tampa Bay, obviously going to, it's going to be said a million times. They're hearing it in the locker rooms about, this is the Cup final rematch. And I think it's a pivotal spot really for both teams because of the fact that, we're expecting both of them to be better. at this point of the season. They've had, their different bumps in the road. And I know some people in the chat were mentioning about looking at the under. I could see this having that kind of a playoff feel and maybe, leaning toward the under. You don't play a lot of unders with these teams normally, especially when Colorado's healthy. That's a kind of a risky bet. But I think under 6 might be the look here. I think we could see this kind of be a bit more physical and, just a bit more lockdown. Not taking too many, risking to make some mistakes or turnovers. They're going to be controlling the puck well at both ends. So I think it's going to have that kind of a playoff feel, and I think we're going to see it kind of be a low-scoring game. So I'm going to go under 6. Might even come back and play some the over later on if this, is like scoreless after the first period, maybe 10 minutes into the second period. Might try to grab like a 3.5 and catch something in between. But I think under 6 is the play I'm going to look for here with Colorado Tampa.
All right, looking at the under here in this game. I'm neutral on the total. I don't feel strong either way about it. Colorado's actually been trending under the total. So Alex mentioned how he leans to the under here. Colorado in their last 7 games, 5-1-1 to the under. So they have been definitely a strong under team. There are a couple props I want to mention here in this game. Evan Rodriguez is going to be playing on the second line tonight for the Colorado Avalanche, and he's made the most of it. As well. Alex Newhook has really come to life. So if you want some bargain bin options for Colorado, Rodriguez and Newhook, a little bit more value. I also think Big Val is going to find the back of the net tonight for the Avalanche. I know it's a second game back. He got his feet wet against Pittsburgh. He had 3 shots on goal against Pittsburgh, and he had a couple of really good chances against the Penguins. So I think Big Val Nichushkin steps up and gets a goal. So I like Nichushkin, Rodriguez, and Newhook. If I'm going to look at some options for Colorado. McKinnon, of course, scored the only goal for Colorado against Pittsburgh, and he's never someone I wouldn't say, yeah, don't bet McKinnon, but I think there's a little bit better value with some other members of the Avalanche. As far as the Tampa Bay Lightning are concerned, it's a game you would expect the Point, Kucherov, Stamkos trio to really show up. This is supposed to be their revenge game, their opportunity to play Colorado for the first time since that Stanley Cup final. So you could see them maybe having a pretty good game. I'll give you one down the lineup for Tampa that started to percolate here the last few games, and that's Ross Colton. He's gotten 2 goals in the last 3 games for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He has 4 points in the last 5 games for the Lightning as well. So Ross Colton for Tampa Bay might be a nice bargain bin player prop for the Bolts in this Titanic Stanley Cup final rematch tonight. All right, next game, Edmonton Oilers, Philadelphia Flyers. We've got Edmonton minus 190, road favorites, 6.5 being the total in this game. The Oilers coming out of the break, and I like the mindset from this team. Sense of urgency. We're not assured of a damn thing yet. Like, we need to make sure we get in the playoffs, which it's not a sure thing yet that we will. And not only that, but with everything that's going on and the chaos that's going on in the standings within their own division right now for this Edmonton Oilers team, I know what they're saying. They're saying with everything that's going on with all of a sudden the Vegas Golden Knights and the Seattle Kraken and the LA Kings being right there, they say, why not push to win this division? Why not push for first? I mean, they are now all of a sudden right there. So not only with this great run that they put together, Edmonton, have they gone firmly into one of the 2 wild card spots, and they have the number 1 wild card spot right now at 62 points, 4 points ahead of both Minnesota and Calgary. But they now find themselves just 2 points behind Vegas, who lead the Pacific Division right now. So that's what this great 8-1 run for the Edmonton Oilers in their last 9 games has done for them. It's really got them in a position where they're firmly back in a wild card spot, and now they can think even of grander things now, and that's let's try to win the division, because they've certainly got the forward group to do it. The defense, when they're playing well, they can defend when they want to. It's about a level of consistency, and Jay Woodcroft has worked overtime, if you will, to make sure that the Edmonton Oilers improve at the defensive end of the ice. And we've seen better from them here the last few, during this win streak, we've seen this team play. And it also helps when you get some saves, right? Stuart Skinner early in the year was playing really well. He's, by the way, the starting goalie tonight for the Edmonton Oilers in this game, as they, I think, continue to just go back and forth, him and Jack Campbell. But there's suddenly some pressure, Alex, on Skinner now, because Jack Campbell now has a 7-start win streak going after the win he picked up against Detroit. There's now pressure on Skinner to say, you know what? If I want to keep getting starts and alternating, opportunities in between the pipes with Jack Campbell, I've got to keep playing well. So I think that becomes important here for Skinner tonight moving forward, that he continues to match what Jack has been doing lately for the Edmonton Oilers. Philadelphia with the 2-1 loss to the Islanders in their first game back following the All-Star break. That's now their 4th loss in the last 5 games. You worry about Philly in this regard. When they meet a team that is playing that's a better team than them, and that team plays a really good, focused game, there's no letdown, there's no sleepwalk. This is a team playing with purpose. And if we get that from Edmonton, they're going to win this game tonight. It's simple. And I think Philadelphia is going to run into that kind of issue moving forward here, is that when they play a team that's playing well, that's better than them, that's not going to overlook them, Philadelphia is going to have a hard time winning some of these games. And we saw that against the Islanders. And I think we're going to start to see that the post-All-Star break. Now, it's these teams that are trying to push for playoffs. They're hitting the accelerator. Enough screwing around, enough, with this inconsistency, this up one game, down the next mentality. We got to bring it every single night, because if we don't bring it every single night come playoff time, we're not winning a Stanley Cup. I think that's the mentality that's creeping in, and it's the same kind of thought process I have with a couple of the other games here on this card that we'll get into later on. So I like Edmonton in some form here. I haven't decided how I'm going to bet it, because I haven't bet it yet. I haven't bet it yet, but I think I might go on the Edmonton and over 5.5 makes some sense to me, because the one thing about the Oilers is they're scoring goals in bunches right now. And the most of the time when the Oilers win games, they're scoring a bunch of goals in these games. So the Oilers and over 5.5 parlay, which you can get at a good price, is something I might consider. The team totals in play, although I wish it was a little cheaper. It's around -140, -145, but that could get there as well. That's what I'm looking at here. Some kind of Oilers and over 5.5, maybe their team total as well. What do you think here, Alex? Oilers, Flyers?
Yeah, I was looking more toward the team total, but I wish it was a little bit lower too. Just maybe even like $1.35, I would probably buy in with that. But yeah, we're going to start seeing these matchups more and more now, where you got a playoff team that's starting to run away, and you got a team that's fighting for a lottery spot starting to slide down. I think this is going to be one of those games. We've seen Edmonton score at least 4 goals in 8 of their last 9 games. Like I said, I think they're getting their offense rocking and rolling right now, and Philly's going to start to struggle a little bit more. So more than likely we'll be on that team total, just kind of waiting for that price to drop. $1.40 is not too bad, but anything higher, then I'd probably have to wait to try and grab it in game.
All right, good stuff. And a couple props, too, in this game. Mostly Edmonton I'm going to focus on, because I think they'll do the brunt of the goal scoring. Though we do know the Oilers, and the one thing that's always a worry is they're always, not always, but they have the clunker every now and then, like the Columbus game at home. Just that was the only loss they've had in their last 9 games, that Columbus game at home. Sometimes when they're playing someone that's really inferior to them, you don't always get Edmonton's best, but I just think post All-Star break, with now where they are in the standings, and now that they can see, they look up and they see, wow, Vegas is just barely ahead of us now. First place team. That's the second and the third place team in the Pacific, Seattle and LA. Wow, they're just barely ahead of us right now. That should be incentive. That should be something that stokes the fire of competitive spirit from this Edmonton team, that, wow, we can suddenly win this division now. We can go from, weeks ago, we're fighting to get back into the wild card picture and a wild card spot, to now, wow, we can still win the Pacific. That should be fueling the Oilers. There's no question about that. So as far as the props go, Dylan Holloway and Derek Ryan are listed as the line mates on the top line tonight with Connor McDavid. If that's going to be the case, and that's what Woodcroft is going to roll out there tonight as his top line, that means Holloway is extremely undervalued. That means Derek Ryan is extremely undervalued in terms of the player props for this game tonight. And in fact, I'm going to look it up right now before we go any further here. Derek Ryan to score a goal tonight is plus 575 at Caesars. He's going to be playing, it looks like, with Connor McDavid. Unless this is a typo, unless there's a last-minute change of some kind, that is going to be the case. Ryan's going to be up there with Connor McDavid, and you can get up to plus 575 on him to score a goal tonight. So that's an ultimate bargain bin right there. Holloway to score a goal, also up to plus 575 at Caesars Sportsbook. Incredible value for 2 guys that might be flanking Connor McDavid on that top line tonight for them. And also a couple consideration as well here for Edmonton. McDavid and Hyman has been, absolutely awesome for the extended stretches. But here's a couple I'll throw out at you. Warren Foegele and Ryan McLeod down the lineup have suddenly become, guys that have been chipping in lately. Warren Foegele, 2 goals against Detroit, after a long stretch of games where the offensive well was running dry. Ryan McLeod has 2 goals and 3 points for Edmonton in the last 2 games. So if you really want to sprinkle on a bet a little to win a lot kind of mentality with some of these Oilers props, there's 4 that stand out. Foegele, McLeod, down the lineup, but chipping in offensively of late. And, of course, Derek Ryan and Dylan Holloway, likely to be the line mates with McDavid tonight. So definitely some interesting value on the Edmonton side for player props here in this hockey game tonight against the Philadelphia Flyers. All right, Seattle taking on New Jersey. We've got the New Jersey Devils minus 135 home favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. A lot of things we want to clear up here personnel-wise with both teams going into this hockey game. First of all, on the New Jersey side, Jack Hughes out week to week. And look, I never overreact to one player being out, but when you watch Jack Hughes on a nightly basis with this New Jersey Devils team, I don't want to say he carries them to the success they have, but he is a massive reason the New Jersey Devils have had the success they've had this season. How many games does this guy go without scoring a goal lately? It hasn't been very many. How many times has Jack Hughes gone in the recent games where he hasn't gotten multiple points in a hockey game, where he hasn't factored in multiple New Jersey Devils goals in one game? He was going into tonight's game on a 5-game multi-point streak, 2 points or more in 5 straight games for Jack Hughes coming into tonight. He had scored 4 goals in the last 2 games. He had the 3-point night in the victory against Vancouver in the first game back after the All-Star break. And that's how big this is. This is a lot of times you have one injury, you overcome it, you've got depth, and New Jersey could still prove that they're capable of that. But boy, I mean, when you see how much of an impact he makes, Jack Hughes, 5-on-5, even strength, power play, and the offense, and the fact that he has been involved in so much of the offense that the New Jersey Devils, put on the board, it's going to be something that does impact them in a negative light. And I'm not a lot of times, like I say, we overreact to one single player injury and we say, you know what? Oh, that's devastating. They can't overcome it. And a lot of times we get into trouble doing that. And we underestimate the ability of the players around Jack Hughes to elevate their game, bring another level, and make up for the absence of their best player. This is different. He has his fucking fingerprints all over everything this team does offensively. So it is significant right now that he is going to be out for it week to week, and certainly including the game tonight against the Seattle Kraken. So New Jersey, I'm not rushing to lay a price with them tonight. That is for sure. That being said, Seattle talked about it before the Islanders game, and I was on the Islanders there in that 4-0 win. Seattle's first game following the break, that shutout loss to the Islanders. I'm worried that this team comes back to the pack a little bit. They're not going to, I think, collapse and fall, out of the playoffs or anything like that. I still think this is going to end up being a playoff team, and Ron Francis, because of the season they've had, might be compelled to maybe look at what he can do to improve this team at the trade deadline. I think they're still going to think long-term vision, because that's still the plan for Seattle long-term for this team to be good. But they might make a little improvement here and there. But, there are some warning signs here from the Seattle Kraken with what we've seen from them. They've gone win-loss here the last 7 games entering tonight. They're only 3-5 in their last 8 games. So we'll see how they fare here. The good news is I mentioned how they've gone alternating wins and losses. They are off a loss. That does put them in a bounce-back spot tonight. And like I said, they have been pretty good, the Seattle Kraken, off a loss throughout the course of the season. I've got them at 13-8 off a loss this year, including 5-2 when they play on the road following a loss. So it's been a good angle for them. Seattle off a loss. I lean Seattle here. I do. Now they've got issues too. Burakovsky, has had obviously a really good year. Was a big acquisition in the offseason to improve this team offensively. He's done that. 13 goals, 26 assists. He's got a lower body injury that he suffered on Tuesday against the Islanders. He didn't return in that game, and he's out tonight for this game against New Jersey. But we'll see how they fare without him. There's going to be some tweaks to the line combinations as a result from both teams, because Hughes is out for the Devils, and of course Burakovsky out for the Kraken. It looks like McCann, Wenberg, and Eberle going to be the top line. Good news for Seattle, though. Really good news is that they got Matty Beniers back against the Islanders. I think they were easing him into the lineup. He played 15 minutes, 52 seconds, and it looks like he will be in the lineup again tonight for them against New Jersey. So that's significant, no question. And certainly, like I said, the season he's had, he's playing like a veteran. Matty Beniers this season for Seattle. So to have him back is significant. It looks like he'll be on the second line tonight for them between Bjorkstrand and Schwartz, Tolvanen and Gord Tanev on the third line. And like I said, the top line is going to be McCann, Wenberg, and Eberle. McCann is the one moving up to that spot. McCann's probably got value here in his props tonight if you want to look at that regard. But I would expect Beniers probably to be worth a prop look, because I think after the game that he got under his belt, he'll be a lot stronger tonight going into this game. My thoughts on what Wenberg has done. He's gotten 2 goals in the last 4 games. Ellie Tolvanen's just been lighting it up for Seattle since they got him from Nashville. 3 goals in just his last 5 games alone, and 4 points during that span. So good options here with the player props on the Seattle side. I'm waiting to see who's in net, Alex, here. We don't know yet for Seattle. It's Blackwood, and I have no issues going against Blackwood when he's laying a price. Blackwood is not a goalie I trust. I've talked about that a million times here on this show. It's either an inconsistency or it's a below average start, and then it's an injury. That's basically been the career we've seen out of Mac Blackwood. 3.21 goals against, 894 save percentage. I'm waiting to see who's in net, though, for Seattle, because I'm not going to like Seattle as much if it's Jones again, because Jones, to me, is a goalie that I've got pegged to come back to the pack a little bit after that great first half, and we saw signs of that in the game against the Islanders. So, and by the way, Blackwood, I want to bring this up here. Coming into this game, Blackwood is on a pretty bad run here in terms of wins and losses. It looks like, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1-4 in his last 5 starts coming into tonight, Mackenzie Blackwood. So definitely look to Seattle. I'll probably lock in Seattle regardless at plus 115 at some point. I'm waiting to see who's in net for the Kraken. If it's Jones, I'll probably actually look at the over as well in this game at 6.5, because I think they'll get some goals behind Blackwood in this game against this Devils team. But I do think New Jersey can find the back of the net, even without Jack Hughes. It looks like their lineup as well. I want to mention that as well, because you got 2 teams because of injury-related situations. They've really changed the lineup around. It'll be Mercer centering the top line tonight with Bratt and Palat for the New Jersey Devils. And Dawson Mercer's warranting this opportunity. He's been pretty good lately for New Jersey. So I like the move. I like the idea of Lindy Ruff giving Mercer the chance with Bratt and Palat, Sharon Govich, Heeshear, and Zetterlund, who's kind of been the forgotten man here for the New Jersey Devils. But, his offense just dried up completely after a promising start there when he was up on the top line. But they're going to give him another opportunity on the top 6 on the second line tonight for the New Jersey Devils, alongside, it looks like, Sharon Govich and Heeshear. So maybe you look at Zetterlund to be a little undervalued tonight. But Dawson Mercer's the target to me. He's going to have his hands in everything for New Jersey if they're going to be offensively capable tonight. He's got good players around him. Palat on one side, Bratt on the other side. So Mercer's a good player prop option, getting that one center spot tonight for the Devils. What do you think here, Alex? Seattle, New Jersey?
Yeah, everyone in the chat guessed correctly. I do. I like the draw here. I got it at plus 345. New Jersey. It's funny. I've been on a couple of these draws, but one that I did bet was a game that didn't go into overtime with Nashville and New Jersey. But this is a Devils team that's been playing a lot of close hockey, and like I said, this can wear on you at times. Like I said, going to the extra periods, going to the overtimes and shootouts, night after night after night. That time adds up. And it'll be interesting to see, like I said, how New Jersey's legs, can hold up late in the games. And I think this is that time of year where, teams, like I said, Both teams are fighting for playoff spots. They need points. This is one of those games where you're going to see those teams, if they're tied 2-2 or 3-3, they're not going to risk, making too many, forward movements and progress and risk, turning the puck over. They want to, be a little bit more conservative with the passing and puck movement late in the game, and they'll more likely end up going into OT. So I think this is a great draw spot. Plus 345, still a good number, because with New Jersey, like I said, 6 of the last 7 now going to OT, they could easily be a number just at plus 300 or even cheaper. So 345, good value.
Yeah, that over 3 at minus 105 for the Kraken team total is going to be probably something I put some of the, this is going to be one of those where we're going to have we're going to have our hands in a little bit of everything here in this game. We'll probably have a little Kraken money line, probably a little Kraken team total over 3. And if Martin Jones is in net, I think we'll probably put the over 6.5 in my pocket as well here in this game with the Kraken and the Devils. And by the way, they played in Seattle. It was a 4-3 hockey game. Seattle won in overtime. Game went over the total. It was last month on January 19th. So Seattle won. Seattle got 4 goals, so the team total would have hit. The game went over the total, and it would have cashed the draw, which Alex likes in this game. So that's what I'm hoping for tonight. 4-3 Seattle would be great, and everybody's happy with the bets they've made here in this game tonight with the Kraken and the Devils. All right, San Jose, Florida. We have Florida minus 220 home favorite, 6.5 the total in this one. Look, if you're Florida, it's very, very easy to come into this game after blowing the doors off the Tampa Bay Lightning, a team you don't like, a team that has owned you, and a team that you really brought your best against in that first game, knowing, hey, if we're going to make the playoffs, we got to start playing good hockey, and we got to put wins together. And they do. And even with that win against Tampa Bay, they're still 3 points behind Pittsburgh, who currently hold the final wild card spot in the Eastern Conference. So it's easy after a game like that to have a letdown. A very emotional game, great game, a dominating win for the Florida Panthers. But you can't be doing this shit anymore. You got to put wins together. You've got to put great performances together consecutively and not play down to competition. And if the Florida Panthers avoid that tonight and they play the way if anything close to the way they played against Tampa, they bring that tonight, they'll blow the doors off San Jose tonight. There's no question about that. Going into this game. But this is the issue with Florida all year, is that they haven't always had that one great performance flow naturally into the next game. And now they're also without their captain once again, Alexander Barkov. And again, the last game, he left it with that hand issue, and he'll be ruled out tonight for the Florida Panthers. The good news for Florida is if you look back at that Tampa Bay game, they had no problem, taking care of business against the Lightning without Barkov didn't really have a huge impact even before he got injured in that game and left it early. It was Matthew Tkachuk's show with 2 goals, 3 assists, and 5 points. He was just spectacular. And in fact, Matthew Tkachuk, he maybe started a little slow with Florida. That ain't the case anymore. His last 7 games, he's on a 7-game point streak in the last 7 games. And during those 7 games, he has a whopping 15 points in the last 7 games for the Florida Panthers. So whatever you're doing in props with this game, Matthew Tkachuk's got to be on there, in some form right now for the Florida Panthers. And this feels like one of those games, especially with the captain Barkov out. It's going to put even more, I think, of the offensive onus on Matthew Tkachuk in this game. This is definitely a game to look at an over 1.5 for him. Now, it's not a great price. It's even money, minus 110, but I think it makes all the sense in the world. Matthew Tkachuk against this San Jose team, which still yields goals in bunches with their defense. This should be an opportunity for Tkachuk to get 2 points. He's been on a great roll. There's no question about that. And this is a really good prop game because I think Florida will find the back of the net. Kaapo Kähkönen in net for San Jose. I will say this, after giving up the 3 goals against Tampa in the first period of that game, he did play better after that, but I'm not buying into that just off, 40 minutes of decent hockey against the Lightning. And there were a couple of golden chances that Tampa had in that game, golden opportunities where they dubbed the shot, they fanned on it, they passed instead of shot, and it could have been an open net. They hit a post or 2 as well. So, San Jose did get a little fortune there with Tampa Bay missing some great opportunities to put that game away. So I still need to believe. I need to see more out of Kokkonen before we're ready to believe in him being a guy that's going to replicate what he did against Tampa Bay. As far as props go, you have to look at Brandon Montour as well for Florida right now. Brandon Montour for the Florida Panthers, he's on an incredible point streak right now for them. I think it's 9 games now with a point for the Florida Panthers. So, and they haven't adjusted this shit, at all with his points prop at all. They actually have slightly tonight. For the first time, I'm seeing upwards of minus 155, minus 160. I mean, for the most part, you've been getting minus 120, minus 130. So finally, there's been a little bit of an adjustment. Some of these points, too, for Montour have been goals. And he almost had another goal the other night. So plus 450 shots, not that bad as well with Brandon Montour at this point in time. My old friend, by the way, with Barkov out, guess who's getting the number 1 center spot tonight? Our old friend, the Listerine man, E2, Cool Mint Listerine, and he's going to be up on that top line tonight for the Florida Panthers. So Paul Maurice tabbing the Finn to jump up to that top line tonight for the Florida Panthers. So his props, I think, are worth a look here in this game for sure. He's plus 360 in some spots to score a goal. I wish there was points props on him, as that would be a great bet, I think, playing with Reinhart and Lundell, but I don't see them right now. Bennett's actually scored in back-to-back games. You could go a goal prop with him. Carter Verhaeghe is just continuing to be producing at an insane level. In all but one of his last 9 games, he's gotten at least 1 point. He has scored, it looks like 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 goals in the last 6 games as well. So anything Carter Verhaeghe is obviously worth a look tonight. So it's a good prop game on the Florida side. So I like more props than anything in this game. I have to look 6.5 over now that the totals dropped back down. It did open 7. It's dropped back down to 6.5. Have to look at the over now at the 6.5 now that it's come back available once again at the majority of books. So I like over 6.5. I think Florida probably wins the game. The team total is what I would bet, rather than the regulation or anything like that, because there's still that little seed of doubt where Florida's got to show it to me. Bring 2 good games in a row. Put 2 good games in a row together. I need to see it. I think they will. I think it's time to stop talking about being consistent and actually be consistent. And this is a team you're better than. Show it tonight on your home ice. So the Panther team total does interest me a little bit, but I like the over 6.5. And like I said, it's a good night to sprinkle on some of those Florida props that I mentioned. What do you think here, Alex? Sharks, Panther?
Yeah, I like this over, but I'm going to wait and obviously get this in game. I'm not laying $1.35 on 6.5. I think we can wait and at least get 5.5. I'll lay $1.35 with 5.5 with these two teams. I'm not going to wait for a plus price on that and lower. So I want a better number more than price, but I think this could be a good back and forth battle. San Jose has been feisty. We've seen them go OT in 3 of their last 4 games, so they've been hanging around. In Florida, I mean, I still don't think they should be a $2 favorite against anybody right now, even though they've had recent history against San Jose. I think it's going to be a goal score back and forth, so I like the over, but I say wait. I think you'll be able to get at least a better price, a better number at the same price adjusted in game.
I do want to throw out a couple San Jose props as well, because I do think they'll chip in offensively. I mean, they have been scoring goals, and you do have to give them credit, too, for the way they played against Tampa, coming back down 3-1. And Bobrovsky in net for Florida, look, he was pretty good. Obviously, against Tampa Bay, he only gave up the 1 goal. Maybe that's a sign Bobrovsky is going to go on a little bit of a hot streak here, but just like with Florida needing to put 2 good games in a row together as a team, can I see Bobrovsky put 2 good games in a row together as a starting goaltender, which hasn't always been the case this year. His consistency has lacked. As far as San Jose goes, he's got 4 points in the last 2 games for them and a goal as well. Barabanov. Timo Meier right now, you get the sense this guy is trying to do everything in his power to showcase his talent to other teams, because we know he's likely going to be dealt at the trade deadline. There's a bunch of teams interested in Timo Meier. He had 2 goals and an assist, 3 points in the game against Tampa Bay the other night. And you could look at any props involving Meier makes sense to me right now. No question. Obviously shots on goal are obviously 4.5 higher than usual, but he is shooting the puck a lot. Over 1.5 points is plus 180 for Meier tonight. And again, he had 3 points against Tampa Bay. He factors into a lot of the offense lately for the Sharks. The goal score prop isn't great, plus 115, but there's a reason it's that price. He's been almost automatic getting finding the back of the net here for the San Jose Sharks of late. And if you want to go for a little bit of a bargain bin, it's just someone I've noticed is, well, Erik Karlsson too. Of course, I got to mention him in terms of the points. He's got 7 in the last 4 games. He has got, what is he up to now? 69 points so far for the Sharks in 52 games. Like, he really is going to hit 100 points potentially for the San Jose Sharks this year. What a incredible renaissance season for Erik Karlsson. Certainly offensively, he looks like in his heydays with the Ottawa Senators again, joining the rush, activating from the blue line, firing the puck, setting up his teammates, great vision, sees the ice extremely well. He's got it going right now, Erik Karlsson. He's had a terrific bounce-back season. There's no question. He's still in the mix, I think, for the Norris this year, quite honestly, as well, with the way he's played. Erik Karlsson props goes without saying as well. Could be worth a look. And the one that's a bargain bin right now for me is Mikey Eyssimont for the San Jose Sharks. This guy has 2 goals and 4 points in the last 3 games for the San Jose Sharks. You know, he's a guy they got from the Winnipeg Jets off waivers. And sometimes it's like that Ellie Tolvanen effect. You know, it didn't work out with Winnipeg, but doesn't mean it can't work out well with your new team. And we're starting to see that here with him on this San Jose Sharks team. So I think a Mikey Eyssimont value-laden prop might be something to consider for the San Jose Sharks. Because, look, they might lose this game, but even if they do lose this game, I don't think it's going to be because they don't score goals. I think it's going to be because the defense and the goaltending lets them down. It would not shock me to still see San Jose find the back of the net. So Mikey Eyssimont, keep an eye on his props as well. The goal prop for him is plus 430 at Caesars. And again, this is a guy now with 3 goals in the last 2 games for the San Jose Sharks. So again, you're looking at not bad value at all going with him. And he's playing on the second line now as well for the Sharks in this hockey game. Keep that in mind as well. All right, great stuff. That's the first part of the Thursday card. We will be right back to break down the remaining games of this Thursday card right after we hear from Gramco.
All right, whether you or your team's game is on the field, screen, racetrack, or the ice, Gramco is for the game. Grown by farmers who spent years developing premium hemp genetics, Gramco provides customers with consistent quality Delta 8 products ready for any occasion. Gramco currently offers numerous Delta 8 products such as vape cartridges, disposable vapes, pre-rolls, gummies, wake and bake coffee, and more. Gramco offers an enjoyable legal high delivered discreetly and directly to you, and is also available at many American retailers as well. Get the best Delta 8 cannabis products on the market shipped quickly and discreetly from Gramco. If you visit www.thegramco.com, use promo code Ice Guys, you get 25% off of any order, and all orders on the site that are $50 and higher are shipped free with standard shipping. So live elevated with Gramco and check out their wonderful Delta 8 products today.
All right, we are back here on the Ice Guys. Alex P. Smith just had a browser freeze issue. He'll be back with us momentarily. We'll roll on here at Calgary and Detroit. We've got the Calgary Flames minus 155 road favorites, 6 the total here, shaded to the over in this game. Bizarre story and a very scary story from Calgary's perspective yesterday. The team, of course, traveled after the game in New York against the Rangers to Detroit for this game as this road trip continues. The team was going to meet up for dinner last night in Detroit, the night before the game tonight against the Red Wings. And the great defenseman for the Flames just kept getting better the last couple of years. Rasmus Andersson struck by a car while driving a scooter to the restaurant in Detroit on Wednesday night. So he was involved in a very serious accident for the Calgary Flames, had to be taken to hospital. And from the looks of it, he's going to be okay. But obviously, you're talking about someone that now is going to be missing some time here for the Calgary Flames as he tries to recover from that accident. He was taken to hospital. He was released late Wednesday night after undergoing full testing. So again, he will not play tonight against the Detroit Red Wings. Obviously, that's kind of a traumatic experience. Day-to-day is what he is listed as right now. And it's not disclosed what exactly, what injury he suffered in the accident, but that is definitely very, very scary, and we wish Rasmus Andersson all the best for the Calgary Flames. And what's interesting about this happening and losing a key defenseman like Andersson is, thank goodness they just got Chris Tanev back. And Chris Tanev just recently returned for the Flames. If they had been still without him, he's been one of their more steady, sturdy, stay-at-home defensemen, would have made things even more difficult for Calgary from the back end. And, you'd have to ask for more responsibility and more minutes, out of Hanifin and the big Russian, Nikita Zadorov. Uyghur would have to play a lot more. You need more from the Gilbert and Dennis Gilbert, Michael Stone, third pair. So the fact that at least they got Tanev back recently is huge, considering now they're without Rasmus Andersson. So we'll see if Calgary can bounce back from a tough loss against the New York Rangers and what was a hell of a hockey game. I said it the other day on the show. I thought it was one of the best regular season NHL games in this season. There's no question. It had everything. It had some great goals, excellent goaltending at times from both Halak and even Markstrom, who gave up, a couple of softies. He also made some brilliant saves, and no wonder he snapped a stick after the overtime goal by Lafreniere, because he made a couple of just phenomenal saves. And, the two Flame players in front of him trying to clear the zone end up, running into each other. And there's Lafreniere to put it past a prone Markstrom. And you can tell he's just so frustrated. I did everything in my power here to try to give us a chance in overtime, and still we end up losing. So very, very unfortunate loss for Calgary. They'll look to bounce back. Dan Vladar is back in net tonight for the Flames. Not surprised. I mean, it's not just because Markstrom, they lost the game again with Markstrom in net, but it's because, they have been going back and forth lately, Markstrom to Vladar. Dan Vladar, Darth Vladar, as they're calling him in Calgary, he's won 5 straight starts. He's now up to an 11-4 record with a 2.77 goals against average and a 904 save percentage coming into this game tonight. I think, obviously, he's played well. And they've played better in front of him for some reason. I mean, for as much as we want to fault Jacob Markstrom, I find they don't play with that same defensive level of, confidence. I find they're not as sure on the puck when they've got Markstrom back there, because they fear that maybe every little mistake they make, their goalie's not going to bail them out. I actually think right now the Flames feel when we do make a mistake right now with the puck, we do have a goalie in Dan Vladar with the level he's playing at that can bail them out. And he certainly played very well lately for Calgary. I cashed a ticket against Detroit on Tuesday night with Edmonton in regulation. And I'm going back to that same well here with Calgary in regulation tonight in this game. And there's Alex B. Smith in the chat. Yep, he's thinking what I'm thinking. I like Calgary in regulation here to get the job done. Even without Anderson on the blue line, it's a big loss on that defense, no question. And by the way, it's around plus 100 right now, even money with the Calgary Flames in regulation. I think they're definitely going to bounce back strong here. Again, 5 straight victories for the Flames with Vladar in net. And Detroit, kind of like I talked about with the Philadelphia Flyers earlier, a team that, when they play someone that is a better team, a team that isn't going to look past them, a team that's going to bring their A game or something close to that, Detroit's going to have a tough time beating a team like that. And I think after the frustrating loss against the Rangers, you get Calgary focused, you get Calgary playing a really good road game here tonight. And I think you'll absolutely see that here tonight in this game. So Calgary in regulation, plus 100. That's simple as that. That's what we're going to go with here in this game. I do think, by the way, and there's something I've noticed here with both of these teams lately, and I'm not much of the first period over guy compared to Alex B. Smith. He is the big first period over guy when it comes to both of us. But you look at the Detroit Red Wings. They've been giving up a lot of goals early in hockey games this year. That's something you want to keep in mind. And then you look at Calgary. The game against the Rangers went over the total. The Calgary-Seattle game went over the total in the first period. The Chicago-Calgary game went over the total in the first period. Calgary's been on this pretty decent little over the total run in the first period. So I like the over 6 too, but this is going to be one of those rare instances where I do a split. I'm going to do an over 1.5 first period and an over 6 in this game with the Flames and the Red Wings. In fact, the first period might even be the better look, quite honestly. So first period over here, minus 135 to minus 140. And believe it or not, for over 1.5 in the first period, that's a cheaper price than we see in a lot of other instances. So minus 135, minus 140 with Flames, Red Wings, over 1.5 in the first period, and also a little bit on the over 6. Smaller bets on both. little bit bigger bet for me here on Calgary in regulation to get the job done. And as far as the props go here in this game, Dubé, Lindholm, Toffoli on the top line. I ended up getting in on Jacob Pelletier against the Rangers to find the back of the net because he was moved up to the second line. He had one shot on goal. He did not find the back of the net, but I wouldn't shy away from trying that, thought process again here with Jacob Pelletier for the Calgary Flames up on the second line, playing alongside Nazem Kadri and Jonathan Huberdeau. And by the way, Kadri and Huberdeau, have definitely played better, both of them lately. So I think that in turn will give Jacob Pelletier, a decent chance here, maybe to finally get his first NHL goal. He's getting close, and he's playing pretty solid hockey. You're noticing him out there when he's on the ice for a shift. And Jacob Pelletier right now, I think definitely could be a decent prop option. I think he's going to pot his first NHL goal very soon. I wouldn't want to be in a situation where the game I don't bet him to score a goal is the game that he does score his first NHL goal. I don't want to be in that spot. So, definitely Jacob Pelletier. I'm going to look in that direction for Calgary. And again, you can get upwards of plus 350, plus 400 on him to find the back of the net here for the Flames in this game tonight. All right, next up, we've got the Vancouver Canucks and the New York Islanders. It is the the Islanders rather, minus 210 home favorites, minus 220 in some spots, 6 the total, shaded to the over in this game. The New York Islanders 2-0 since the All-Star break, 2-0 with Bo Horvat since the trade. Definitely it has given them a shot in the arm. It's given them, I think definitely it just pumps spirit and life into a dressing room and a struggling hockey team. And look, they won 2 games before the break, before the trade even happened. But I think the fact that they've looked even better, to be quite honest with you, in the games they've won after the break. The 2 games they won before the break, they got outplayed by Vegas. Very fortunate that great goaltending allowed them to win that hockey game. The Detroit game, it was not a dominant win, either. It was not the greatest win or most, not a win where they controlled the game, and dominated from start to finish. The Islander game, they controlled it. They were the better team from start to finish. They had the higher amount of shots, chances, and looks, and they had the puck more often than the Flyers did. And then the Seattle game, well, I mean, obviously with a 4-0 lead, they kind of sat back. But for the first 2 periods, the Islanders were better than Seattle. Their level of play has gone up as a team, as a collective, since the Bo Horvat trade took place. So there's no question that, they've been bolstered. It's just they see Sweet Lou making the move, then re-signing him long-term, and they see, you know what? The guy makes us better, both ends of the ice, makes us better offensively, makes them better defensively too, because he's a great two-way center. We've always said that about Bo Horvat. But what it does is it shows that the management thinks we could still be a team that's capable enough of being in the playoffs. And if we get our shit together and we put the wins together. And look, all of a sudden, 2-0 after the break, 4-0 in their last 4 games overall. And here are the New York Islanders tied with the Pittsburgh Penguins for that final wild card spot now in the Eastern Conference. So look what just this 4-game win streak has done here for the New York Islanders. Vancouver, I do want to give them some credit here, the Vancouver Canucks, because their effort's been there. All right, they're playing hard. Rick Tocchet's got them working very hard. He's got them playing hard. He's got them on every shift. I'm seeing them trying to winning more puck battles than maybe they did a few weeks ago. But man, every little mistake they make defensively is a ghastly mistake. It is a horrendous mistake. And that's the problem. They play a nice solid 5-6 minutes of hockey, and then whoops, there's that defensive calamity. Whoa, there's that defensive blunder, and it's all shot to hell, and the puck is in the back of their net. That's exactly what we saw against the Rangers last night. It really was. I mean, they just, that one mistake, the critical lack of ability to clear the defensive zone, that turnover in the neutral zone, that inability to tie up the man in front of the net, all kinds of these, defensive 101 fundamentals just keep on coming back to bite the Vancouver Canucks. In a very winnable game for them last night, those little defensive fundamentals came back to bite them in that 4-3 loss, just like the little 5-minute lapse they had against the New Jersey Devils in the first game after the break. That also came back to bite them in that game. I mean, they can't overcome these defensive mistakes, and that's the problem. They're scoring goals. The offense is fine. They're playing hard, but they can't overcome the shoddy defense, making critical blunders with the puck, and goaltending that ain't good enough from either Spencer Martin or Colin Delia to bail them out. That's what we're seeing right now with Vancouver at this point in time. So they've had 2 tough losses, 1-goal losses to the Rangers and the Devils. I don't want to lay minus 220 with the Islanders. The Islanders have made me money since the break. I'm happy about that. My thought process was spot on, that the Islanders are a team I want to back coming out of the All-Star break. I think they'll be reinvigorated and revitalized with Bo Horvat here, and it's played out that way. But we got minus 130 against the Flyers. We got minus 120 against Seattle. We're talking minus 220 here. I want no part of that price. I just don't. But I don't want Vancouver either. It's a tough spot for them. It's the 3rd road game in 4 nights. It's a back-to-back. It's 2 crushing losses in a row. Do they hit the wall? Do they have another 3rd strong, play so hard we almost win the game effort in them in a row, and the 3rd and 4 nights on the road? I'm not so sure about that here in this game against the Islanders. So I'm off the money line, but I am going to look at the Islander team total over. I think you have to. I mean, because you saw them get to 4 against Seattle. I still think there's going to be a team that's going to turn a corner offensively. We're already seeing signs of that. Bo Horvat gets his first goal with the Islanders against Seattle. I think the team total's in play here. And look, Vancouver, we know what they do against the opposition. Now, Rick Tocchet's trying to work with this team defensively and trying to get their penalty kill better. But as you can see, I don't think he's got the personnel to have a good defensive team. He can do whatever he wants in terms of structure, in terms of systems, but you don't have the personnel to play good defense in your own zone. I think that's clear as day. So there's only so much Tocchet can say. There's only so much Tocchet can do. And the one thing we're seeing, even with Tocchet behind the bench, trying to instill better defensive play from this Canucks team, is they're still giving up goals in bunches to the opponent. 4 goals allowed to the Rangers, 5 goals allowed to the Devils, 6 goals allowed to the Kraken. And to the good teams is where they're giving up the goals. It's fine to hold Columbus and Chicago to 2 goals, but Seattle puts a 6 spot on you, Jersey puts a 5 spot on you, and the Rangers put a 4 spot on you. That's why I still have confidence the Islanders can get themselves to 4 goals. Now, a couple of weeks ago, you'd want no part of the Islanders over a team total. But I'm going to take a shot tonight with it. Over 3.5, Islanders team total, over 3.5, minus 124 here in this game. And I'm also going to sprinkle a little on the over 6, although I like the team total for the Islanders better because I could see this being 4-1. But Vancouver's been scoring. Okay, and Vancouver just continues to go over the total. And 6 to me with a Vancouver game looks extremely light. You look at these games for Vancouver, 4-3, 4-3, 5-2, 4-1, which is the only game that stayed below 6 goals, by the way, for Vancouver in the last 10 games they played. And then they played a 4-2 with Edmonton, 5-2 with Chicago, 6-1 with Seattle, 5-2 with Columbus, 5-4 with New Jersey, 4-3 with the Rangers. So at 6, I have to take over in this game at minus 120. I just have to. For Vancouver, this is an extremely low number going into this game. Delia in net, by the way, for Vancouver. We think it'll be Delia. I don't think it's been confirmed yet, but we think it'll be Delia. It is Ilya Sorokin for the New York Islanders. By the way, it's Husso in net for Detroit in the last game we talked about against Calgary. But that's what I'm going to look at here. A split between the Islanders team total over 3.5 and the full game over 6 here with the Islanders and the Canucks. As far as props go, Bo Horvat props, we're coming back to the over shots on goal tonight. It's his first game against his old team. He did stay under 2.5 shots on goal in the last game against Seattle, but again, they had a 4-0 lead. You probably could afford to just, park the bus a little bit, play defense. He did have 4 shots on goal in his debut with the Islanders against the Flyers. So I think you're going to get over 2.5 shots tonight from Bo Horvat. I'm going back to that well tonight. Bo Horvat over 2.5 shots on goal, facing his old team. It's minus 132, minus 135 with that shots on goal prop. You always want to play well. You always want to be more aggressive. You want to look for your own offense. You want to try to put the puck in the net and shoot the puck more against your old team. This is the same prop that I took with Johnny Gaudreau when he went back to Calgary recently against Columbus. So, yeah, over 2.5 shots on goal for Horvat. If you want to sprinkle on the goal prop, you can do that, which it's around plus 150 for Bo to find the back of the net tonight for the New York Islanders. You could use that same thought process on Beauvillier as well. Anthony Beauvillier, he's going back to Long Island to play his old team for the first time, now as a member of the Vancouver Canucks. So Anthony Beauvillier is certainly someone you could, consider an over 2.5 shots on goal, and you're getting a really good price with him. How about plus 120 to plus 130 for over 2.5 shots on goal for Anthony Beauvillier? Does he pot his first goal as a Vancouver Canuck tonight? If you think so, against his old team, plus 350 is what you can find with that. Just to get 1 point tonight. And that might be a really good one. Never mind the goal prop, but just to get a point, considering you're playing on the second line for the Vancouver Canucks, you're getting opportunity. You're in a top 6 role right now with this team. You're playing with he's playing with Pettersson and Kuzmenko. I beg your pardon, on the top line. Anthony Beauvillier. You're playing with two of the best offensive talents on the team right now. So over just to get a point, Anthony Beauvillier tonight, it's plus 125. It's a really good price. And you think he's going to have something in the tank to bring a pretty good effort here tonight. So, yeah, the players on both sides. Horvat against his old team, the Canucks, now with the Islanders, and Beauvillier against his old team, the Islanders, now with the Canucks. Shots on goal, point props, goal props, things of that nature, I think, worth a look here in this game tonight. Kuzmenko as well to score a goal, because Kuzmenko's just been lighting it up here for Vancouver. And on the Islanders side, if you're not going to look at Bo Horvat, look at Brock Nelson, look at Anders Lee. I mean, going into the break, those were the only 2 guys scoring before they got Bo Horvat. So definitely, Beauvillier does need to bring the work ethic a little bit stronger. I agree with that. Cheshire Cat's not wrong with that comment. Kind of a puss. I'm being a little nicer with my description, but he's got to be harder to play against. He's got to, I think sometimes there's shifts where it's just he's going for a free skate. He's not getting his nose dirty. He's not going to the front of the net. He's just relying on his skill and his ability and his release to get him by. And that can't happen. And it happens a bit too much with him. And especially when he was with the Islanders, that happened a bit too much with him. He needs, and Tocchet should help him with this, be harder to play against. Tocchet's here to make these Canucks harder to play against. And Beauvillier certainly needs some of that as much as anybody right now on this Vancouver Canucks team. Just to be a hard as fuck player to play against. Be tough on pucks. Don't get knocked off pucks too easily. Go to the blue paint. Go to the goal crease to try to score some goals. All of these little things that you need to do to be a tough player to play against in the National Hockey League. Too many times you don't see Anthony Beauvillier playing that way. And now it's going to be, I think, up to this coaching staff to try to get him. Try to get those bad habits out of him. And if there's one night that I'm going to try to bank on Beauvillier bringing a great effort and a hard effort and a tough effort and work through checks, work through collisions, get to the front of the net, get to the traffic areas, get to the slot, find, loose pucks, find ways to make a difference. It's a game like tonight when you're playing your old team. All right, final game of this card. I think, Alex, we might have lost him because I think his browser is on the fritz right now. But if we did, Alex, if you can, I think you might still be in the chat. Drop your best bet because we'll be doing this right after this game. Vegas and Minnesota. We've got Minnesota minus 125, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. I'm right back to the Vegas Golden Knights. Cashed a best bet winner with them on Tuesday against Nashville. I like Vegas again here tonight, plus 105 against Minnesota. Minnesota's been really poor lately, really poor. And I'm the excuses are out the window. Now, you lost to Dallas last night, 4-1, so it's a back-to-back for them. You were in Arizona Monday night. You're in Dallas last night. Now you're back home, 3rd game in 4 nights. Back-to-back losses where you didn't play great in either game. Your offense is sputtering. You've scored just 3 goals in the 2 games since the break. And don't forget how they were playing before the break. Against Carolina, they lost 5-2. The Washington win was a fraudulent win. They got badly outplayed by the Capitals, but goaltending bailed them out in that 4-2 win against Washington. They probably could have lost that game as well. They barely beat Arizona the first time they played them in Minnesota, 2-1. Again, the 4-2 win against Washington where the Capitals outplayed them. Capitals probably deserved a better fate. And then they had the 3 losses in a row against Carolina, Florida, and Tampa Bay. That tough trio on the road. Couldn't win any games in that stretch. Then they come back home, a less than impressive win against the Philadelphia Flyers in overtime, another fortuitous shootout win against the Buffalo Sabres after that, where they didn't necessarily play great. And then, of course, back-to-back losses post-All-Star break against Arizona and Dallas. They're just not playing great right now. And by the way, they definitely miss Jonas Brodin. And if he's out again tonight, that's significant for the Minnesota Wild. He missed the game with the lower body injury last night. He's one of their best shutdown defensemen. He doesn't give you much offensively, but defensively, man, they miss him. He's very good in his own end. He's a veteran defenseman. He's positionally sound. And they didn't have him last night against Dallas. And I think they'll potentially be without him again tonight against Vegas. Logan Thompson will be in net for the Golden Knights tonight after it was Aiden Hill getting the start against Nashville. That was as good as I've seen from the Golden Knights as a team against Nashville. It was a defensive choke of the Nashville Predators. That's what they did. They choked the Nashville Predators defensively. The Predators didn't do anything. Predators in that game had like 12 shots on goal with like 5 minutes left in the third, and they ended up with 17 shots on goal for the entire game at home. It was as good a defensive effort as I've seen. And Bruce Cassidy said it after the game. He said, I don't know if our team has checked as well defensively as we did against Nashville. A 5-1 win. Again, 4-game losing streak. They weren't playing well going into the break. And you know what? They still have a couple of key pieces out, especially Mark Stone, but they are much healthier now. And the blue line in particular, Zach Whitecloud came back in the win against Nashville, his first game. Shea Theodore has been back for a couple of games now. Pietrangelo now has worked himself back into rhythm. The blue line now is finally just about back to full strength. The only key absence they still have is Mark Stone. Jack Eichel hasn't been great lately. We talked about the point drought that he's on, 6 straight games without a point. But he's had 12 shots on goal in the last 2 games, and he had a bunch of chances against Nashville the other night. It's going to happen for him at some point. And in fact, for as much as I've reprimanded Jack Eichel, I'm going to take a shot with him tonight in this game, not only to score a goal, plus 210 in this game, but we're going to go with to get a point at minus 140 with Jack Eichel tonight. This is it. This is the night I think the drought ends for Jack Eichel. He's getting close. You're seeing him out there on the ice. You're seeing him get chances. You're seeing him get opportunities. 12 shots in the last 2 games. He got robbed by UC Saros late in the third period on one of those chances against Nashville the other night. He's getting close, and he's getting a nice price. And again, the props for Jack Eichel, the prices have gotten better the last few games because of his 6-game drought here, 6 straight games without a point. So now, and yeah, Alex ran into Jack Eichel and met him last night in downtown St. Paul. That's the reason that he's going to get back on track tonight. A little good luck running into Alex. That's what's going to get him going. I agree with that. Sometimes a little karma, you need that. And maybe that's what Jack needs. Jack needed to run into someone. He needed to run into someone involving our Ice Guys family. That's pretty much it. So yeah, Eichel at plus 210 to score a goal. He's been close. I think tonight's the night he finally finds the back of the net, and minus 140 to get a point as well in this game. So Vegas plus 105. I'm liking it, and Alex is on it as well. All right, that is the Thursday card. We appreciate you guys tuning in. 264 live viewers on YouTube. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. We still have best bets yet to come. But before we get to best bets, again, we want to remind you of what's coming up here on the Ice Guys. It is the did I get rid of the banner? Damn it, I did. Well, we'll create a new one here in just a second. But you know what it is. It's this Saturday. It's the Ice Guys Super Betcast live this Saturday at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time with live betting and commentary throughout the huge Saturday slate. This is the first time we've done a Betcast on a Saturday. And it's also the first time we've done a marathon betcast, because we're going to go from 2 p.m. Eastern all the way through the entire afternoon, the entire evening, right up until the Penguins and Kings, the late night game. And there's also a late game with the Blackhawks and the Jets as well on Saturday. Those 2 late games will go all the way till they conclude as well. So the Ice Guys Super Betcast live Saturday, 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. It'll start not long after our daily Saturday show ends, where we break down the games. So join us for the Super Betcast, live betting, commentary. Hopefully we win a bunch of bets. I've got a bunch of goal score prop bets planned for that Saturday, as well as some parlays, and we happened to hit one last night with Hintz and with Hedel. So we might look to put a couple of those together as well for this super bet cast. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure your fridges are stocked. Drinking is not only allowed, it's encouraged. So make sure you bring your favorite beverage with you, or favorite beverages with you, for the betcast on Saturday. It's the first ever Ice Guys Super Betcast, Saturday at 2:00 p.m. Eastern. If you want to join us on the betcast stream, and believe me, there'll be plenty of opportunity to get on the stream for how long we'll be running. So DM me at Bobano on Twitter, or email bobano350@gmail.com as well. That's another way you can contact me and say you want to join us on the Super Betcast on Saturday, and we will send the StreamYard link to you for the Betcast prior to Saturday when it begins. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun all day, all night. Super Betcast, Saturday, 2:00 p.m. Eastern. Right here on our Ice Guys YouTube channel. So excited about that. All right, we will wrap the show up in just a moment with best bets right after we hear from Manscaped. Support for the Ice Guys is brought to you by Manscaped, our good friends at Manscaped, who are the best in men's below-the-waist grooming. Their products are precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped's Performance Package, the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Join over 7 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer for you, courtesy of the Ice Guys. Get 20% off of any purchase and free worldwide shipping with the promo code Ice Guys. That's promo code Ice Guys, all one word, ICEGUYS at manscaped.com. If my math is correct, that's about 400 million balls that you can help preserve with manscaped.com using the promo code Ice Guys. You get the Performance Package 4.0. It is a game changer. The Lawnmower 4.0. It takes care of this, among other things. It'll keep you trim as can be. The Lawnmower 4.0, waterproof. Same thing with the Weed Whacker, which takes care of your ear hair, nose hair. I mean, nose hair in particular. You know, I'm getting up there in age, and nose hair is becoming definitely more of an issue. This will take care of it. It feels like someone's tickling the inside of your nostrils sometimes. It pisses the hell out of me. It bothers me. I need to take care of that shit. This will take care of it for you. The Weed Whacker. Makes part of the package that you get with your Manscaped purchase, and the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. You also get the ball toner. You also get the ball deodorant, keep you smelling good and looking good and feeling good down in the nether regions. This package is really going to make you feel good and look good and look better, slim, trim. That's what it's all about, and manscaped.com can help you out with that. So make sure you take advantage of this. Manscaped.com. Get 20% off and free shipping with the promo code IceGuys at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and use the promo code IceGuys. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped. All right, we're back here on the Ice Guys, and it is time for best bets to wrap up the show. We'll start with Alex B. Smith because he had posted, I think he posted his best bet already in the chat. It is the Vegas Golden Knights plus 105 against the Minnesota Wild. So that is Alex's best bet here for this Thursday NHL card. My best bet for this Thursday card, we're gonna keep it simple here and go with San Jose, Florida over 6.5. I almost went with Calgary in regulation. That's right up there too. But I'll go with San Jose, Florida over 6.5 here, minus 135. Pretty obvious decision. I mean, Florida, I don't distrust them to score goals. They will against San Jose. But the Sharks are putting up some fight. And you've got guys on this team trying to showcase themselves. Nobody more than Timo Meier. Erik Karlsson continues to deliver the goods, having an incredible offensive season from the blue line. And just an incredible comeback story for him this year. I think both teams will contribute to a lot of offense tonight down in Sunrise. So Sharks, Panthers, over 6.5, minus 135. for my best bet here for this Thursday NHL card. And that'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. And a reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Friday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by National Hockey Now.